This episode of RSR is brought to you by Isotope, Native Instruments, SAE Institute, Spectra 1964, and Grace Design. These are tools that I use every day in my studio, from the Spectra 1964, STX 600, 100, and 100D, and Native Instruments Complete 15, to Isotope Ozone and RX, and the central hub for my studio, the Grace Design M701 audio interface. Follow the sponsor links in the show notes. Grab my free mixing course at mixmasterbundle.com, and remember to like this video and subscribe on YouTube because it's a great way to help support this show. Now, get ready to rock.
There's enough songwriting books out there to choke a horse, just like writing books or advice, but I have my own ways of doing it, and a lot of it comes from the advice of writers that are basically like Roberto Bolaño has a character in The Savage Detectives that just, shouts out, if you want to be a writer, then write. If you want to be a guitar player, then play your damn guitar.
Yeah, I know, and it's tricky because to your point, it's like we get wrapped up in things, and like I myself personally grapple with, I love playing guitar and music, but life comes at you fast, and work and other things and distractions, and sometimes I'm like, I need to remind myself to get my ass up and just grab a guitar. Welcome to Recording Studio Rockstars. I'm Lid Shaw, and this is the podcast created to help you become a rock star of the recording studio. Rock stars, if you want your mixes and masters to translate everywhere, Isotope Ozone 12 gives you the tools to finish with confidence. The new bass control helps you see and balance your low end and punch. Unlimiter brings back life to overcompressed tracks, and Stem EQ lets you rebalance vocals, drums, or bass using only the stereo mix file. And when it's time to get loud, Ozone's new IRC Maximizer gives powerful, clean masters without distortion. Go to isotope.com and use the code ROCK10 for 10% off. Howdy, rock stars. It's your host, Lid Shaw, and welcome back to Recording Studio Rockstars, bringing you into the studio to learn from recording professionals, ba-bing, so that you can make your best record ever and be a rock star of the studio yourself. My guest today is Tim Easton.
No way.
An acclaimed American songwriter, guitarist, and storyteller whose career spans continents and decades. Born near the Canadian border and raised between Tokyo and Akron. Mm-hmm. Is this really true? Wow. Tim spent years busking across Europe before settling into the U.S. and releasing his debut album, The Truth About Us, on New West Records, working with members of Wilco, no less. He's released a string of standout albums such as Not Cool, American Fork, Paco and the Melodic Polaroids. That's a mouthful, dude, to say. That was intentional, wasn't it? And Find Your Way on Black Mesa Records, and toured or collaborated with artists including Lucinda Williams, John Hiatt, the Jayhawks, and Tift Merritt. Tift's great, man. That was one of my favorite recordings of Bonnaroo.
Yes, she was powerful.
Yeah. In addition to making records, Tim is passionate about teaching songwriting, one of my favorite topics, including leading week-long workshops up in Alaska where community members join him to write and perform original songs together. Tim's been on the show before in episode RSR552. Wow. So check that out. We'll have a link in the show notes, and I'm glad to have him back to talk about songwriting, touring, finding your way through music. Please welcome Tim Easton to Recording Studio Rockstars. Tim, are you ready to rock yet again?
I am ready to rock, Lidge.
Welcome back. Did we finally get to do it in the video?
Yeah.
Realm.
I only have to make one correction on your intro, which is important. We don't need to leave a marker. But it says my career started with this, but then that would be, I was about to say my career has gone just slightly shorter than yours because on my very first album, you were working on it, and it was a couple of years before the one you mentioned. You start with whatever the bio says, Truth About Us with Wilco, which is true, but that's 2 records after I made a band album, the Haynes Boys, at Alex the Great in 1996 or 7, and you were on that session. And then 97, 98, I made Special 20, which those, I just listened to one of those tunes on the way here. You know how, like, your phone will just play a song?
Yeah.
Because you have the library open or something?
Somebody else sits in the car with you, and then they start yelling at you for turn it down. You're like, I didn't even do that.
Yeah, it's like, I like to listen to myself in my car. That's what I do. But it started playing Franklin County Woman, which is just like a thrashy-ass punk ripper of a tune. I mean, it's out there. Like, I'd like to play it for my daughter, just to say, like, hey, your dad can still rock, you know, or he used to rock or something, you know, folky now. So yeah, you and I, careers roughly the same. Basically, in the 90s, you and I were working together. So just
that was
before
a lot
the
of
Wilco.
fun, man. That was a lot of fun too.
I like listening to those albums still. Where the album I made with Wilco, musically, I love it. Vocally, I think I was lost a little bit.
Really?
To be honest. Yeah, it's just that's the way I hear it today. The songs I like. I still love the songs. I still play the songs.
Well, the first one with the Haynes Boys, would that have been a classic freshman album where it's like you've got years of collecting material that you've gone to the studio with, and then, you know, a classic sophomore album
Not
experience?
As much material. No, I mean, see that. So technically, The Truth About Us is my second solo album. So yeah, writing. The Haynes Boys go in the studio. We basically at that point cut all of the bass players and anybody else's songs out and just did my songs. So I got a little bit authoritarian right there.
Right.
And I still believe that I believe that bands break up because they don't go the REM route and share the songwriting 4 ways.
Right.
Yeah, I think that's a big deal. If you're going to be in a band, everybody's got a purpose. And if you notice today, any bands that are making it past their first or second album is because they did it in a democratic or, you know, social democratic way where they're like, everybody has a chore and everybody shares the profits equally. And I didn't do that with that band. I got a publishing deal from Madonna on the Haynes Boys record. Yeah. And just like, you know, I bought one nice guitar from George Gruen.
Did she come out like in fishnets and a machine gun brought us to?
No, she didn't. No, it's crazy that I worked with Madonna. I know Madonna. Well, Madonna had gazillion dollars to throw away, so she started her own company, Maverick, which signed some pretty not memorable things. But also then a little bit, she worked with this guy who worked with Lucinda Williams and Tom Waits. And then as a songwriter, I got pulled into that. But I was just a raving lunatic myself at the time. Didn't know how to handle any of that stuff. But I was lucky to gain the benefits of a small publishing deal back in the day. But I didn't really split. I gave those guys a bonus, you know, in the band, but I didn't split it equally with them. And I will say, honest to God, I think that's that and the fact that band was everybody else's side project and my lead project, you know, and I didn't even name the band, and it just wasn't meant to go on much longer than one album.
Yeah.
And it's just one of those things that where you look back with the 2020 hindsight and say, if you're starting a rock and roll band today or a band or a project, if it's 2 people, do it 50-50 and dole out assignments. Like when you go out on the road, someone does the merch, someone tour advances, whatever it is that indie things do to get off the ground. You need a chore out there. You can't just be the bass player that doesn't do anything and looks at their phone all day. You gotta you know, that's kind of common sense for bands now, if there are any out there, you know, if there's an Econo line still going. But yeah, I have to say that those first albums, the question you asked me is like, I wrote a lot of songs for them. And then the album that I made with Wilco, it wasn't Wilco. Let's be clear here. It was not Wilco.
Right.
It was 3 guys from that band. And Jay Bennett, who's passed on now, and Ken Coomer, who you know lives here.
Did I do that one with you too? Was that with
No,
Brad
that was actually with Joe Ciccarelli, partly in Chicago.
No shit.
Yeah, and partly out west.
Where'd you guys do that one? What studio?
I forget the name of it. It was in a schoolhouse and
in Chicago, but it wasn't like CRC or one of those.
No, Billy Bragg and Wilco had used it to make this part of the Mermaid Avenue stuff, I think. It was a really cool spot. And Joe Ciccarelli, we were using tape and cutting tape and everything. And those guys were fantastic. And I do remember Jeff Tweedy visiting with his sons who were just little kids at the time.
It was an Engine or one of those maybe? I mean, I don't mean to put you on the spot.
No, I can't. I should know this stuff. Yeah,
I'm just saying if I can
guy.
remember and then there was, who else was it? Not, boy, it's been so long.
Yeah. Look what happens. You grow older, your body starts breaking down and you can't remember shit. Yeah.
Well, it's like, it's funny when you're there, like the time I'm in Chicago, you're just wrapped up in all these, like, like that's your world for me. So you know all this stuff. It's kind of like knowing all the Mike Pre gear names when you really are zoned in on that for a while.
Yeah.
And then later you're just like, it's great to be in a great wherever, use great tools. But
I remember Joe Ciccarelli had a big trunk of stuff that he would have air-shipped, right? And it was just his pedals. It was this big flight case full of just pedals and stuff, the stuff that he wasn't plugged in to right then. And, you could just grab something and go for it if you wanted. And he was incredible. And Jay Bennett was incredible. If I was going to recall anything from that situation, I've only witnessed a guy do this once or twice in a studio where he picked up any instrument and put a part down in 1 or 2 takes.
That's awesome.
Just he had a thing that he would just make a track happen, and he was really good at it. And Aaron Lee Tashian's like that as well. And a couple other guys that are like that are just wizards on their instruments.
Yeah.
That's the memory I get from it. And writing songs, I think I write more songs now than I did for those earlier things. That buildup is like I'm always writing. So, but maybe some of those songs were some emotional things going through, like the youth, the anguish of like trying to figure out what you're doing with your life.
Yeah.
And you don't understand the difference between free time and not free time. And Elliott Smith kind of alluded to this. He's like, once you get in a band and start traveling, like your free time is all day, or you don't know how to decipher the difference between, he said you're painting or you're working at a job, right? Washing dishes, whatever. I was washing dishes, and you're writing songs, and you can't wait to get home and play with your 4-track, and then all of a sudden when you're doing it for a living, you're like, oh, I better get up in this hotel room and actually work on my songs instead of just like watching HBO or something, so I write more now for some reason. Yeah. It seems like it. Yeah.
Well, you've also become very focused on it in a way, you're also teaching it now. You're involved in workshops and stuff like that. You want to tell us a little bit about that experience?
Yeah. I love doing it, and I will eventually put the thoughts down in a book. There's enough songwriting books out there to choke a horse, just like writing books or advice, but I have my own ways of doing it, and a lot of it comes from the advice of writers that are basically like Roberto Bolaño has a character in The Savage Detectives that just, shouts out, if you want to be a writer, then write. Mm-hmm. If you want to be a guitar player, then play your damn guitar all day.
Yeah, I know, and it's tricky because to your point, it's like we get wrapped up in things, and like I myself personally grapple with, I love playing guitar and music, but life comes at you fast, and work and other things and distractions. And sometimes I'm like, I need to remind myself to get my ass up and just grab a guitar.
Yeah,
when I wish I would just automatically do that, and like you kind of did when you were young.
Yeah, you don't think about it as much. You just go. You're just doing what you enjoy, what feels good. I try to tell writers just get up in the morning and give yourself the 15 minutes of like if you hear something in your mind while you're making coffee or whatever, that's it. That's the magic part of. The other parts are really clear, like rhythm, a melody. There's a countless books and advice on that stuff.
Yeah.
But I do try to teach them to study the heroes of their heroes. That's my workshop in a nutshell. It's like, if you like the Kinks, then listen to the bands that they loved, and then the bands that person loved, and go backwards until you're listening to a guy, who's beating a drum on a cave wall. That it's like you just keep going back and then study. And these lucky songwriters that are coming up today, they have not just that they can go cheat and use AI or whatever, but they have YouTube. Mm-hmm. To learn, like you and I would have been lifting up the needle on a thing and going back and listening to this solo on whatever Zeppelin album, and you're like, what is he doing there? Like, oh, I didn't understand what G tuning was.
Right,
the Rolling Stones, like the Rolling Stones and stuff like that. I was like, why can't I play it just like that? And now you have YouTube, and it's it's really fantastic to be able to do that for kids and adults, really anybody that wants to learn a part. And if you learn how other songs are built, you're going to be able to write songs. And if you read a lot, you're going to be able to spit out words. And now we're faced with all these AI challenges. And you could do that, but there's just zero satisfaction. But when a group gets together and we connect and we try to write a song about a raven without using our computers or our Google machines or whatever, the end result is breakdowns, cathartic breakthroughs, and all of a sudden you're in touch with maybe some trauma, just things from childhood. It's just like it goes, man. It's like I didn't study psychology in school, so it's above my pay grade to deal with, like, say, wounded vets.
Right, and but that's one of the groups that you've been working with.
That's but we're all humans in the end. We're there to release our emotions and thoughts and not keep them prisoner inside us. And
there's a guy that I've been working with. He's a coach, actually, but one of the quotes that he shared a couple of times is, "The wound is where the light comes in."
Oh yeah, the cracks, right?
Or the cracks are where the light comes in.
Yeah,
and that's just like a great concept too. It's like the more you can get in touch with that stuff, the more opportunity is there for something to come in. And that probably means a lot of things, whether it's like some sort of classic, childhood trauma, or whether it's just like a fuck up in a song,
Right. Basic stumbling.
Hitting the wrong note.
Yeah. Maybe you don't like to speak in front of people or talk about your feelings in front of people. Who does?
Yeah.
Really, you don't know it's going to be a therapeutic situation. And I've seen it countless times happen. And it's very intense and it's very rewarding in its own way. All the reward of this last one almost got erased by Frontier Airlines. Just like I got trapped in a thing where I'm like, really? I have to wait till Thursday, 4 days from now to fly? It's like, well, you can take an Uber to L.A. and then fly to Philly and then catch this plane tomorrow to Nashville. So I just got done with a 27-hour journey, and I'm still grateful because it's a Cadillac problem. I realize that in the world of people that have real problems. Mm. But man, when you're in the middle of it and you're just like, you just...
Well, plus airports, you're just nobody. You really can feel like nobody in the world.
Yeah, I love them because I love watching. I'm a armchair anthropologist, and traveling people are just funny. Everything about fashion choices. I love airports. I don't freak out in them, but...
Were you coming back from Alaska or one of those places?
No, I was coming back from the songwriting workshop in Joshua Tree with
amazing.
Yeah, so I had this really good week. In October in the desert is just amazing.
Yeah.
Summer kind of difficult, but anyways, it was a really good week. And then all of a sudden I was trapped in a thing and I was powerless and I was angry as hell, and no amount of like greasy wings from the plate, the shitty restaurant. And I was just like, well, first I was like, okay, I'm trapped here for 4 to 6 hours. Oh my God, it's Sunday. I'm going to watch football and eat terrible food because I can. It doesn't matter. What's my choice? I'm like, I'm going to be an American doofus for a day.
American Doofus. Sorry, but that's a great album title, by the way, man. Really good.
I'm going to cut loose. I have no choice. And I did. And then it was like delayed again and again and again until finally I'm going to Uber on the way to LAX. And I'm like feeling terrible because I ate a bunch of wings and like.
Yeah, right.
Not a big problem in the world of problems. But
what's fascinating about it, and like that idea of when you're in the airport, you can feel like, you're just a dot on the map, is like you can come from an event where you, like, on your way out the door, people might be hugging you. Like, man, it's like, yeah, it was so great. Thanks so much. Or looking at you with,
you're a hero.
With a lot of like you're a hero, or they, everybody knows your name, like whatever, like, what was the show I'm thinking of?
Oh, right,
Boston,
right.
Cheers.
Yes.
And then you walk into an airport and all of a sudden you realize you're like, oh, everybody in here is coming and going. They all got a big old story. And like,
yeah, we've all got to be someplace.
Good humbling too. But like when you're doing that in a weird place like that, it's probably hard to bust out a guitar and play, although maybe it's not if you're skilled at it.
This couple broke out an iPhone recording the jitterbug, and they just started doing the jitterbug and dancing. I was like, bravo to you, because I want to rip this place down.
Yeah.
And, it's just another opportunity to remain teachable and get in touch with your own inner anger that's like, give me a break, man. But when you're in the moment of it, no amount of the serenity prayer or whatever the hell you're going to use, meditation, it's not working, man. Wings, football, you're just like, oh, you're in this place. And it really teaches you a lot about yourself. And I think of my dad, like him losing his shit, and then I watch and I see those that are going that way and those that are going like, well, I guess I'll just keep reading this book or whatever they're doing, and they just manage to float through it without anger. And I'm obsessed with that. I'm like, how'd you do that? How did you just brush this off? Like, what Zen are you practicing? And really, sometimes when you really have to be someplace, like if you had to go to work. Yeah,
it can be stressful for sure.
Or you had a really cool show to play, whatever it was, You don't understand. I've got a show.
Right, exactly.
That person, it's like almost the whole rest of the line is like, yeah, poor you.
Dreaming of a career in audio or the entertainment business? SAE Institute Nashville, in the heart of Music Row, offers hands-on programs where you'll learn on professional-grade gear with industry pros, learning through real projects, not just lectures. Explore studio production, live sound, audio for film, and a whole lot more. Or take the entertainment business program to learn about contracts, promotion, and more. With diploma, associate, and bachelor's programs, there's a path for you. Book a tour today at nashville.sae.edu or call 615-244-5848. Yeah, I mean, for me, when I travel now, I was so proud of myself when I came back from California recently because I looked at my calendar and I was like, oh shit, man, I actually scheduled a buffer day, Nice. So I had one day where nothing was on my calendar when I got home. And I was like, thank God.
That must be getting an older person vibe because I will wake up and I'm like, all I have to do today is make breakfast and like write and record. I'm like, oh my God, it's like the greatest day of my life. I'll go for a nice long walk, And
then momentarily you're terrified that you're going to blow it watching like bad YouTube videos and Netflix.
Yeah. And then all of a sudden you're trapped in a like, how did I get on the people's reels and why am I watching this cat take a piss on a piano? Like, what's going on? Like, how did I get here with my free time?
This is so great. I love this day off. What do you mean it's 6 o'clock already?
Yeah. I did, I saw a picture of a kid dressed as a fart for Halloween and I just lost it. I just thought.
I'm losing it right now, man.
I just thought to myself, this kid is going to be the greatest comedian of all time, or his parents are playing a practical joke. I couldn't tell what it was, but it's like in this time, and I'm not saying, this could be February 2026 when everybody's looking at this and I'm stuck in this. It's just right now at this moment, there's so much that could go wrong if you swipe or look at the wrong thing for too long.
Right.
So I have to put myself on a news blackout, and don't get in a cycle of it because of course it's all effed and you're going to get you're going to get fed the thing that's like, well, what does it matter?
Right. It's working if it riles you up.
Yeah, apparently.
If it makes you feel anxious, it's working.
And
it's like watching a horror movie,
Yeah, or then why do we have to go then read the alternate news reporting on the same thing or go see if they're not reporting on it or whatever it is? It's like they're winning. They win when they get you sucked into this trap.
Yeah. So as a songwriter, well, boy, there's a few topics that I would hit on. So one is in the airport. Do you find that writing the poetry and the lyrics can be like a good exercise? I've learned recently as I've started to get more into lyric writing that all these places where singing out loud doesn't fit, you can go internal and you can write things and you can do like word plays and stuff like that. So that's one of them. The second part is getting angry. Right. Have you found that anger can be like an emotion that you can tap into for creativity and songwriting?
Yeah, write it all down. Keep the editor out of the room. If you're journaling, analog, doing it, or you're doing it on your phone, you're reciting it into a thing. Sometimes you recite it into your phone and it says something different than you said. And you're like, oh, that's better.
Right.
I mean, whatever you got to do to spit out some words every day. Next thing you know, like sometimes it's just a haiku a day. What I tell the students though is like, or the workshoppers, I'm like, write a haiku every day. See, if it's that easy, let's see what happens.
Give us a quick primer again on how a haiku goes together.
Well, a haiku could be
right?
the Japanese form of the poetry, and they're just like stoic and natural, and like it's 5 syllables, 7, and then 5. But that's actually the Western imposition of rules on their thing. They don't necessarily do that. When you're in the 4th grade and your English teacher tells you how to write a haiku, it's always 5, 7, 5.
Mm-hmm.
I tell my students right away, if this was a real workshop, there'd be a bus waiting outside. We'd all be on a one-way flight to Madrid, and you'd have to hitchhike home. And then at the end of that, you'd be a songwriter or a prostitute. B, there's no rules here. And if I imposed any rules on you, the only rule is to be honest. Let's try to be honest. But if you're dishonest, that could be fun too. And then, I say, if you break the rules, I'm going to be really impressed as your teacher. And certainly in a haiku, no one cares if it's 6 syllables, then 7 or 4. No one cares.
Yeah.
They just, did you say what you wanted to say? The primary thing is like, what do we want to say about this political division or this animal, the porcupine? What is it? What do we want to say? And then we write all these things down and we keep the editor away. And then you write all that down, and every now and then you're like, this does sound like a line in a song. It actually,
right.
And when you're talking to someone, sometimes it sounds like they're speaking in a lyric, or you'll be really lucky and they'll say something like, and I tell this story on stage. A woman at a bar looked over at me, and it was like early in the day, and she was very hungover, and her eyes were all bloodshot, and she was like, "Oh, I can't see through the blood in my eyes."
Oh, that's great.
And I know, and I was like, "Thank you."
We call it gig booking. So the gig book is like Chris would always travel with the gig book, which had all the gigs in the band, and he just started writing all the quotes he'd hear in there, and then now I've adopted that, so I've got like the little.
That's how jokes traveled the country. That's how all those dirty expressions that people were saying for a while, like a dirty Sanchez or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
It was all musicians. People saying the word cool or jazz or that's hip. Or like, hepcat, whatever. That all came from musicians, bohemians traveling the country in their buses and telling their little jokes with each other, inside jokes. And now it's on the internet and everywhere, so it just happens a little faster.
Now, what about the schoolyard songs and things like that? Didn't you ever wonder as a kid, you're like, why does this stuff travel through time and generations?
Oh, yeah.
It's because kids tell other kids, is it?
Well, the radio stepped in.
Yeah.
But yeah, the radio, jokes got passed that way, but early on the joke, word of mouth, the way it was, like a telephone game, it still happens, but really the internet now picks it up. And I did want to touch on this today because I heard Judd Apatow talking about it. He's got that book out called Comedy Nerd. And he basically is saying that, when you were putting on a show like the Gary Shandling show, and he's all stressed out. What are we going to do? And then he comments something I just want to say. David Letterman asked him, what have you been up to? And he's like, just living my life, except I haven't been on TV, so you don't know. So today, like, there's just, everybody's got Instagram, and you're just like, if I don't like post something, and I'm guilty of it myself. I'm addicted, fully addicted and in there. And, you got all these guys saying like, go away for a month and study AI. And this is what'll happen. You'll do Tai Chi.
Right.
So I'm getting all these old ripped guys like, my algorithm is like super ripped old dudes, doing crunches. Crunches are stupid. Or doing dietary things like blueberries are bad for you. You're like, what? Why? What?
Yeah. It's like crunches are stupid, swipe. Yeah. Not doing crunches is stupid. Swipe.
Yeah, swipe. I'm dressing as a fart for Halloween. Like, oh, there I am. Now I'm home.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's tricky, man. It's like there's funniness in there. There's ideas in there, but this distraction is stronger than all of them. So you're like, how do you
got to put your 10
how do you
cents
steal
in
bits in there? And then, you feel like you have to add stuff too. That's one of my questions later. I'll just hit you with it now. So like, how do you feel like you try to balance social media and making music, because you have to post as the artist too, like new album I was at this amazing Alaskan songwriting thing.
Yeah.
Now, when you're someplace like that, it doesn't hurt that you can just do a selfie in the background and tells the story for you. You know what I mean?
True. I do use it. I use the natural world as an escape right here in Tennessee too.
Yeah.
I just get out in nature and I go walk. Yeah, I like to count my steps, so my phone's in my pocket because I'm addicted to that now. But I do heavily believe in the morning routine of like drinking lemon and water and going for a walk and not looking at social media or my phone right off the bat. Now, I'm an addict just like everyone else out there with the phone and a Google machine, and it's shocking how, you know, you walk through an airport today, actually everybody's on their phone, so you can stare at people as long as you want. Right. They're just all like, bloop, they're all lost in there. But I have a routine. The routine gets blown when I go on the road, which is very often, but I try to do it. I try to do my stretches and my routine, my whatever yoga meditation based thing. I try my best.
That's morning for you?
That's morning, yeah. That's when it's all easy to do anything, you know? You know what it's like to have a teenager, and I have a teenager, and they are into their phones. Like their whole life is based around it. I'm a little bit worried about how they're going to communicate with each other sometime.
Well, I mean, yeah. I mean, I've got my daughter's in college now, still a teenager, just about to finish that part. But, you know, it's also the worry as a parent of like, you know, what's their experience? But I know that she's getting a lot of experiences. I mean, it's hard not to get real life experience at the same time if you're social, you know what I mean, too. But also just like the physical aspect, like how does it mess with her, you know, back or anything like that?
I'll play pickleball with my daughter just to get away from the screen. There was an SNL skit recently about that, you know how like Valley Girls came out and Frank Zappa wrote a song just listening to his daughter talk? Well, now there's a skit on SNL that is my daughter's lingo, and it's the expressions they use, fire, she's so Ohio. There's a bunch of weird expressions that we don't know. They all know them now because they're all on TikTok together, and everybody uses the same things. And SNL did a skit on it, and I was like, oh my God, that's exactly like Frank Zappa listening to his kid go say Valley Girl talk, you know.
Gag me with a spoon.
Yeah, all that stuff, they put it in there, and, you know, he got to have his daughter on the actual recording. I've just had my kiddo do hand claps, and which is fun, and some backwards piano, which is fun. Like,
oh, that's
go ahead, just play the piano. Like, I don't know the part. I'm like, don't worry about it. just
watch
play what
this
you feel.
Trick.
Play what you feel, and then, one button, you're like the Beatles button. You know, it's not fair. But then again, it's kind of fun.
Rock stars, if you want fresh song ideas, Complete 15 from Native Instruments has the tools to kickstart your creativity. With Contact 8's Chords tool, you can generate and customize chord progressions instantly for songwriting. And the Phrases tool gives you ready-to-go melodic inspiration right at your fingertips. With 165 instruments and over 150,000 sounds, Complete 15 helps you turn blank pages into music. Pair that with a Complete Control keyboard or machine hardware for seamless integration and hands-on control. Go to nativeinstruments.com and use the code ROCK10 for 10% off. Yeah. I've been having an opportunity to record my daughter doing her songs.
Oh, cool.
And also just, you know, pay for the production when she wants to do it with somebody else.
Yeah, good.
But either way, you know, it's like really fun to see our kids just explore something that, you know, who knows who among us our kids will actually be as interested in music as we are, but it's fun to see it, even if you're like, you know, how many musicians do you know, like, oh, I'd never tell my kid to do music. I never, you know,
I'm not,
some are like, oh, it's so great, you know?
Yeah, well, Tweety does it. Tweety's just said the other day, he's like, how did I get so lucky? I'm like, oh, I'm paying them or whatever. But I'm not pushing anything, but every now and then my daughter will be around. We have time. I'm like, hey, play that Neil Young beat on the drum, that boom, boom, ka.
Yeah.
She'll just sit there and do that, and I'll improvise over it. And the joyous expression of that blood harmony feeling, it really is hard to, like, that's a really fun feeling. To make music together. And I'm not pushing anything
Blood Harmony is a good line.
Blood Harmony is I suggested that as an album title to these two brothers called the Brother Brothers. And they're like, that's dumb or something. They were being mean to me, you know, bluegrass guys. No, I'm just kidding. They're like, Easton, your ideas are dumb. That's kind of the feeling I got. And then, of course, someone just put out an album called Blood Harmony because it was waiting. It's a great album title, and a brother and sister or two sisters did. Yeah. The recent musical thing about a teenager that I've been enjoying is play me a song. Like, I'll play you a song, you play me a song. We're really lucky in Nashville. We've got a couple different radio stations that are playing modern, cool, underground music. It's amazing. But she's like, she'll play some Tupac or Biggie to me. I was like, it's great. I'm way down. But I'm like, you realize that'd be like me playing Chuck Berry for my parents? Right. You know, like, it's 30-year-old music. It sounds so good because they were still using a little cassette and tape,
triggering loops by hand,
it's very cool, you know, and it sounds good and the message is cool and there's amazing songs, but like, it's vintage music, you know. And then when we back it up with some modern thing, whether it's Bad Bunny or whatever it is, I'm sorry, but here comes the old cranky guy. I'm just like, man, it does not sound as good. It just doesn't sound as pleasing on the air. I still don't do artificial double tracking with my vocals. Whatever Nigel, invented that for the Beatles. I forget his name. Right. You know, where you just make the tape record it and then you're just a fraction of a second off. I still sing it again. I sing it twice and then like lower one and spin it off to the right.
I love doubling vocals.
Yeah.
I feel like the more I do it, the easier it is to do. It's gotten so easy to.
Don't try to double your vocals. Just sing the part again, and then you raise them up, and you find out where one went differently. Right. I mean, if you sing something 5 times, 2 of them are going to be pretty similar. And I learned that from Brad Jones, who we worked with. He didn't mean to double my vocals, but he pulled up 2 of the vocal tracks, and they were 2 in a row, like number 4 and 5, or 3 and 4, and they were pretty much identical. Then I just had to match a few things in it. And, you know, I'm not Aretha Franklin or I'm not Aretha Franklin's uncle even. You know, I'm not as good at singing as some great singers out there. So sometimes it's nice to have that little help from a little friend that's panned way right and shrunk down a little bit with it's fun.
Totally. And one of the things I feel like I discovered in doubling vocals was, especially in the songwriting early stage, I could come up with the first melody, and I've learned to like have some respect for that, you know, because it's easy to explore all the other possibilities, but a lot of times that first idea comes from somewhere genuine, you know, unless I wasn't paying attention. And then if I just maybe sing that same melody with intention the second time, then it's like, oh, okay, that's starting to fit, but, you know, like, does it just sound like, you know, the critic's still there?
Yeah.
And then I go and double it. And then when I double it, then I listen, I'm like, oh shit, man, that's like, check out that dude with the cool idea, you know? Something about doubling just makes it seem like it was a good idea all along, you know?
The Beatles did it so well, and I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Now I love listening to Hard Day's Night where John is a hair off and the bridge. I never heard that stuff when I was a kid, but I have the Sirius XM.
Yeah.
So if I want, I can listen to the Beatles station, and you know, I did for a while. Again, you go back into it.
So you hear all the different outtakes and stuff like that.
Yeah, and you hear the goof ups in Please Please Me in the early days when they went to double, or they're nailing it live. And Paul, you know, they just sang one where one said they, the other one said we, and there's just like, and they just kept going because the energy of the take was there, and you're like, wow, you really, like, no one would do that today.
Right, you get all hung up about it.
You'd be like,
somebody would be coming back. We need to book the studio and do a fix because of the they and the we.
Yeah, and it's oh God, it's really like I'm afraid that it's true that there's a tape of Bob Dylan going like, have you noticed how all music sounds the same? And it's like the 80s when he says that.
Right.
He's like, today, it's like, come on, man. it does kind of all sound the same now because there's no difference between country and pop. That's for sure. You're like, the only difference might be a little bit of the something in the accent or something in the singing. You're like, but it's the same Pro Tools, the same Pro Tools tricks, the same everything. You're like, the same funky bridge with the switch around and it's like, I'm sorry, this is the old guy talking right now.
Yeah, but it's all right because one of the things that pops into my head is, does that homogeny in music get fueled by a pursuit of money out of music, or does it, like, if there wasn't money connected to music, would the homogeny still be there? It's an interesting question.
Probably not, because you are trying to copy something that's already been done, basically.
Right.
That happens, and then this copies that. And let me just say this for the record: not everybody's like that. There's clearly a lot of artists doing cool stuff. I'm just saying, the majority of what seeps through to get to the radio, because I'm a radio guy. I don't make records for the radio, but you think I would have attempted that at some point. But that time's kind of like where I was in the zeitgeist of what was happening. That's come and gone. Although I am opening for Cracker again in Spain.
Hell yeah, dude.
Yeah,
nice.
like Cracker was the first band that took me on the road. And then for a while they were on the radio, pre-Americana era. And I'm opening up for them in Madrid coming up. And it's really fun. But David, he now teaches, I think, music business
He's in Virginia, right?
I thought he was in Athens, Georgia, but
okay, Georgia. Okay.
Anyways, I leapt off the subject, and what I'm trying to say is that I think the copying and the sound the same is financially driven. Absolutely, like, oh, this did well on Spotify. Right. Let's. I mean, people have been doing that for a long time. That's been happening ever since time they started making records, so people have been copying yodels in country music. It's just like it's so obvious. I just hope that somewhere out there is the freakish artist that's just the bedroom legend and still making stuff, and they will, of course they will be,
Well, it's a combination of stuff too, because like there's a lot for us to learn by paying attention to what other people have done creatively, right? But then at the same time, I feel like the people that we admire always did something that broke the rules against what other people did. Even Bob Dylan. I mean, like he was
Eddie
booed
Van
off
Halen's
the stage
a big one
for
too.
bringing an electric band up there, right?
Yeah, Eddie Van Halen's a big one that just like who, some people would say his guitar playing is akin to like a dentist drill sometimes. And you're like, too much stuff. That guy completely like broke all the rules, but then he went to this place where like I don't listen to new music. Yeah. There's nothing new out there. It's like, and I think that's the death of creativity. You got to listen to what new artists are doing or old artists are trying to do. I strongly believe in that. And that's probably why I can still keep going, because I don't sell tons of records, I get to play gigs. I get to go out. I tell stories, and I get to be present and be a folkie, and I don't have a high overhead. That's why I can still do this. I don't have to pay a bunch of people on the road. It's very simple for me. I have one pedal, and it's a tuner.
Nice.
And if I didn't have it, I wouldn't.
And you're
care.
traveling with an acoustic.
Yeah, man. My Gibson Paco from Paco and the Melodic Polaroids. That record, by the way, is like, there's some European record collectors that are way into it. That record was made direct to lacquer. One microphone.
Cool. Direct
to lacquer in a studio called the Ernest Tube in Virginia. Right. It's really cool, and they have Pro Tools and all that stuff there too. But they have one setup where it's an old lacquer cutting machine, just like Jack White would have.
Yeah,
and a guy with Clint, like he's got his little broom, he's sweeping the dust out as you're recording, and it's just you, one microphone, right onto lacquer, and so. Melodic Polaroid is where that expression came from, because it's like a Polaroid picture, but it's a melodic Polaroid.
Great. I get it. Yeah.
And Paco's the name of my guitar, which you've recorded that guitar, and I've been playing that guitar since I bought it in the 80s.
Is that the one you toured the streets of Europe with?
Oh yeah. That's the one I was a street musician with. I like that
hard case or
well, now it's got a hard case. Yeah, it's funny because the whole shoulder thing acting up. I was like, I'm carrying that flight case around. So when I do domestic touring, I will bring the soft case, the good soft case. But when I leave and get on an airplane, I put it in a Colton flight case, because there's a really expensive cases.
Yeah,
the guitar was $100
because the guitars can get. I mean, Bad things can happen on airplanes.
Yes.
Not to you, of course, but
no, they do happen. They've already happened to me. So you invest in a Carlton case. You just you pay for the peace of mind.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pay for the peace of mind. Is that their actual?
No, but maybe because I have 2 Carlton cases because the first one, and this is a true story, it was the anniversary of 9/11, like the second or third one, and I gate checked the guitar, so I try to gate check it with the baby carriages, and so they'll do it. And then I was waiting in the little end of the accordion piece, and there's that ramp that goes up to the top.
I don't ever want to look out the window when I see.
And the guitar went. It just went like it fell 20 feet and landed right on its nose.
Oh God! And
it was still in tune. It was totally fine.
That's with the case?
With that Carlton case on it. The case got shredded enough.
Wow.
And everybody saw it. So I was like, I mean, I don't care if everybody knows
you went
really
around
happened.
with a digital a document signer and got everybody to sign your phone.
You know what? I was like, well, that's going to be a free case for me. It's and for sure enough, I had them.
Yeah.
And I wrote Carlton. I said, and then so Carlton kept it in their display area for a while.
That's hilarious.
Like, this is what happens when a guitar falls 20 feet off an airplane. The guitar was still in tune, but the case was really, really
amazing.
Took a big ding.
Yeah.
Then they gave it back to me, and it still works. So I got another guitar, like 2 flight cases. It works just fine, Yes, Carlton cases. This podcast sponsored by Carlton Cases, which will, as a young musician, you'll think, there's no way I can't do that. I can't pay for that. Well, figure out a way to do it because.
Yeah, I mean, you just start saving up when there's a big purchase and you need it. You just save up a little bit at a time until you got it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
You can just slow down on the juice fast,
You slow down on the juice fast.
Those expensive juice fasts.
Hey, rock stars, when it's time to finish your music, iZotope Ozone 12 gives you the powerful new tools to master with confidence. The new bass control helps you balance your low-end EQ, sustain, and punch so that your tracks translate everywhere. Unlimiter restores clarity and impact to overcompressed mixes, and Stem EQ lets you rebalance vocals, drums, and bass using only the stereo mix file. When it's time to push loudness, Ozone's new IRC5 Maximizer delivers clean and powerful competitive masters that stay open and musical. And with an updated mastering assistant that guides, not decides, you can move faster, make better decisions, and stay fully in control from start to finish. Go to iZotope.com and use the code ROCK10 for 10% off. Howdy, rock stars. We're back now for the jam session. My guest today is Tim Easton, joining us here at Ready to Rock Studios.
Millions and millions of hours of podcasts.
Yeah. You ready to jam?
Does anybody still give a damn? Yes, hell yeah.
They do after hearing this one, man.
I am able to talk. If your listeners may have noticed, I have the gift of the gab. No problems over here, just yakety yakking about whatever you want. And I feel lucky. I do feel lucky about that because I'm not an introvert when it comes to this stuff.
Yeah.
I need my time alone. I'm not a big co-write songwriter guy. I can be, and I can write with a huge group like I do at a workshop, but I am a single man, divorced, and I feel very lucky that I get to have this creative time and be on my own and do it. So when I got to sit down and talk about it, I'm also like super sober now. I mean, recovery based.
Super sober.
I mean, okay.
I've heard of super soakers.
Super soakers and the super suckers. I mean, I'm addicted to media.
Right.
And all that stuff. And to a certain extent,
and
pizza.
Music, right?
Yeah.
Well, that's a good one.
Yeah. There's certain things there's certain obsessions, like maybe guitars or tunings or something weird or poetry that are healthy obsessions for my work. And I feel really lucky because, as you know, if you love your job, you figured out a way to do it. If you love what you do, and then you never work a minute in your life, right? And I wish. That's why I tell young people to go to Alaska a lot. Like, if you're going to wait tables in Des Moines, just go do it in Alaska.
Because it's just beautiful there?
Yeah, you'll make a lot more money. You'll have more adventures. There's an America out there that we're not used to here.
Interesting.
They have the internet there too, But there is a lot more distraction with just the natural world, and we like lose track of it. And I almost feel like a bit of a broken record saying it. And I'm like, did I say this the last time I was on Radio Rockstars or your podcast? The chances are is I did, because I've been preaching this for a long time, that if you don't escape the unnatural world and just stay locked into technology and everything like that, if you don't escape it and do what we were doing for thousands of years before, you're going to get stuck in a thing that I fear that we're stuck in, and that's just like just a loop of technology. And so I'm a big old hippie when it comes to saying, yeah, get on a river, go hiking in the woods. I think the depression, what's it called when there's not pandemic of depression, but there's just like such a widespread, thing to people everybody's depressed.
Right.
And I'm a manic depressive. I get really happy and then really sad. Highs and high highs, low lows. Although that's actually started to even out now. Like really cool things have been happening, and I don't like freak out and be like. And then really bad things are happening, like the plane thing, and I don't have to just totally explode.
Right.
But so I've gone to both places in the last week. Ecstatic, Joshua Tree National Monument.
Yeah.
And then down to the plains thing. I kind of stay in the middle, and I need both as a creative person. So
yeah, I experienced both as a creative person too, and it is my mom came from there too. She was bipolar, and so I always have had that in the back of my mind, just been aware of it. But like the ups and downs of creating, like I can be on cloud 9 when I'm making a record. Or playing a gig really, or touring, although touring was, as you said, it's a funny combination of like the thrill of the show, but also the sitting around for hours.
Picking out which junk food you're going to eat at a convenience store.
Right. And then, in the studio, I can feel like everything can just feel right when I'm making music,
I agree.
And then you come out of it, and then the session's over, the weekend's over, the week's over. And I've learned that like, next comes the vacuum, and it's like, as long as this is just the vacuum, and all you got to do is just pick your things and start doing them, and everything will be just fine.
And take a Sabbath, take a day out just to do nothing and veg, watch TV, take it in, whatever it is. Yeah, I feel very lucky to know that the vacuum is there. And when you put out a record too, you've worked really hard on this. It comes out, and then there's that quiet period,
right? A
couple months into it or 3 weeks into it. And you feel like this, the world's moved on. And, I'm always making a record. There's always something on deck. I never stop. I have a Patreon page. Yeah. Patreon has kind of saved my creative mojo, because it's like I just keep going.
Yeah.
I can always just make it for them.
So that's part of the accountability concept, right?
Yes. Yeah. The accountability. Exactly.
Yeah. So talk a little bit about that, because there's, I've really been thinking about that a lot. I've been learning about that a lot. We're always learning about stuff, but the idea of accountability to propel us forward, and also the idea, this is really a sort of a new way of thinking to me, that when we, it was a great quote actually, that if you follow your passion just for passion's sake, it will you'll inevitably burn out. And if you follow your passion and you find a way to turn it into business, which is, it's an interesting concept, then you can thrive. And I was like, oh boy, that just seems so backwards from what people say from the artistic thing. But what I realized, I was like, if you do create an opportunity to, to be accountable to your Patreon group, for example, or to have a gig coming up that you've got to be there for, any of those things, are transactional, and they actually do motivate us to get off the couch and do the thing, and get things done. But it's also like, even more to it that I was thinking about is, even in the moment where you like put a ticket price on something, you're doing like the converse, the opposite or whatever it is, you know,
and I feel awkward
mechanics.
doing that.
So like you're actually committing your accountability to the other person in that equation. So it can be kind of good, you know. I guess that was a whole lot all at once.
That's great.
But,
No, you're speaking my language, which is the language of ADHD.
Right.
No, it's you said something right at the beginning that I think is super important. It's like I'm learning something. You and I are not kids anymore. I mean, rock and roll is a young man's game, a young woman's game, a young person's game, but it also keeps you young. Interestingly enough, the mentality of the like, oh, I got a little thing and here I go, boom. The remaining teachable thing, massive. Well, now we have to remain teachable because technology changes so often. We have to learn something new. You just showed me something new, a new way to monitor something just earlier. And I think the person that's like, I already know how to write songs. I don't have to learn how you do it or whatever is doomed as well.
Right.
It's like, and I've been that guy, you know, we're like, I know how to do that. You're like, yeah, but not this way. And it may be true, but there's this way to do it. And then you said accountability. If you don't show up every day and just get on it, you're going to maybe lose it a bit, you know? I think I don't do it because I'm passionate about it all the time. Sometimes I do it because I'm like, this is what I'm so lucky that I get to do this. So yeah, sometimes you're going to have to like, you're going to show up and you're not going to be present. You're not going to have the the magical part of this equation. You're going to just have like, it's one of those days. We can't all just be firing at all cylinders every day. So if you're lucky,
if it wasn't for days that suck, then the good days wouldn't be so good.
Yeah, and there's something else you can do on the sucky day. You could take some in. You could say, you know what? I'm going to learn how to play that Elvis Costello song that I still don't know how to play. Or I'm gonna try a new drum beat. I'm going to sit here and meditate on the drums and play the drum. And I love doing that. I'm a big proponent of like set up a drum set in your house. I don't care how much room it takes up. Don't have to reassemble a drum kit every time you want to play the drums. I'm just a believer in that.
Yeah.
And after my divorce, I was like, I'm always going to have a drum set up.
I got one down in the studio and I leave it set up all the time now.
Yeah, and you never know when you're going to sit down.
I just sit down and play it, you know.
You sit down and play and you get into a meditative place. The drum is the very first instrument of humankind.
Yeah.
And you just start playing the drums. You don't have to be a master drummer to get an aesthetic or get a kind of a jolt from that. It just really, you know, and this is all stuff that has come from age and a bit of recovery, you know. And I'm just doing my best to be of service to others and help others get to find their connective thing or find their thing that accountability to find that, because man, some days you just don't have it, and I need you to show me how. And so that when you started talking about accountability, you talked about remaining teachable, and that's another big element of this game of creativity. Is we all think we got it. I got this. I know what I'm doing.
Right.
And you don't. You oftentimes need a little bit more of a push.
There's something to learn. Something
different direction. Yeah, just go in a different direction, because today sometimes you can't sing. Mm-hmm. Sometimes something's going on there. You're dehydrated, whatever it is, and you got to go in another way. And man, I'm so glad that I don't have to play a take 48 times into the night anymore. If I write a song, and what I do with my Patreon page, probably the greatest Patreon page that exists, by the way. I'm just going to say it's pretty damn good. Well, I mean, I give a lot to it, you know?
Yeah.
And I have had other Patreon people, you know, people that have been like, they're like, dude, you're making me look bad here, because I don't put up as, and I'm like, well, I'm a workaholic. So it's, you know, think about that. I got that problem. But I don't have to, like, when I write a song, and I'm reading it and singing it, which is, I never did that before. When I'd go in the studio, I'd have my songs committed to my mind, you know?
Right.
I know my song well before I start singing, you know, like I took that Dylan line for reality.
Mm-hmm.
That meant something to me. And now, like, I'll be reading it, you know? I'll have that sheet of paper off the camera. You won't see that I'm reading it, but, you know, you can figure out I'm reading it because I just wrote it. If I don't get it in the first 3 takes, often the first 2 or 3, I set down the guitar and I go do something else for a few minutes. And whatever it is, have a bite, sip some coffee. I'm not ready to record it. You know, if I don't get it, if I don't play it from top to bottom and have to fuse, you know, and that's what I do. I'll film it. So you'll see these, I put up these posts all the time of me filming it, and then I'll double track the vocal or double track the guitar. So you can see a little, you know, but that initial film, that's me doing a take, you know, at the risk of how funny I look or bad lighting, you know, which, by the way, amazing lighting here, just amazing. So
it weren't easy.
Yeah, I'm just working hard. I'm just kind of always doing it and giving up to Patreon. And I think I'd like to thank Patreon for keeping me busy and keeping me accountable and keeping me working, because it's nice. Like, not every tune I turn in is going to make it to the album, but every song I wrote or everything I did is another shot I took at the satisfaction of finishing a song is never going to diminish.
Yeah.
Even if you're like, man, that song needs a little help. I still got 2 verses and a chorus done, and I'm like, you got the majority there.
The's always later to finish it.
Yes, and
now that you said lighting, I realized I'm going to level us up. Watch these.
Ooh, Salt Rock approaching.
It's getting look behind Tim, everybody.
Ooh, I just felt
boom.
Oh God, my chakras just aligned in a way of like, I felt a little tingle.
All right, so you've got a new album coming out too. You want to tell us about your new record and anything you're excited about?
You want to talk about me?
Yeah, let's talk about you, man.
Man, I feel so lucky to keep making albums. I just do. And, you know, I started making them out. You were there when I first started making them, you know, after I got out of my bedroom in the 4-track.
Yeah. And
I still brought 4-track versions down, and Brad synced them up, you know. I know there's that new Springsteen movie about him, you know. We all love the album he made on a 4-track. And,
oh, right. Was it Nebraska?
Nebraska. It's the only album. I did not like Bruce Springsteen. I didn't get it. I just didn't. My brain wasn't ready. And I heard Nebraska, and I was like, "Oh, okay, what's going on here?"
Yeah, I had one artist who came in and bought that exact tape machine and made his record on it just because of that. And then
that's a little excessive. No, I'm just kidding. Obsession is amazing. What it'll do to you, you know. That's so cool that he did that. I'm actually really, I love that. I made a record with Kevin Nolan. Kevin Nolan is a musician from Washington, D.C. originally. And he studied down in New Orleans for a while. I don't know if it was what school it was, Tulane or the other one. Jazz guy who is, you know, came to town, worked Lower Broadway for a while, met up with Tommy Cyphers. He brought his brother, Matt Nolan, here, who plays drums. And together, those 3 guys are today work as Lainey Wilson's backing band. So they're in a Learjet economy of music business. You know, they play the Enorma Dome
yeah.
in whatever town they're in. That's what they do for work. They're those guys in Nashville, right? And, you know, this is really cool thing about her. She uses, you know, they record with that band. You know, that wasn't the way it was done in this town. Like the big, huge bands used the A session guys. Well, Jay Joyce, who's her producer and works in a church over here in East Nashville, they were the band, you know, and he's the same guy who produced so many great records, Eric Church and the last Black Crowes album.
Right.
You know, he's just one of those cats in town that gets work. And so Kevin Nolan, who's a burgeoning producer, is a producer now. He's producing all these young artists. He and I discussed, he's like, okay, I tell you what, we made a plan, you know, and let's make a record. And we picked a studio over in country music land, over in, I forget what part of town. Well, there's a lot of country records being made in this beautiful home studio called Amber Sound. Cool. Great studio. Yeah, Amber Sound. Yeah, it's in a house. It's in a duplex over in, what's the far east side of town? I can't remember the name of it. Oh my gosh.
Oh, you're talking about like the Nations or something?
No, I said that's west. Okay. Way on the other side of town. Why can't I remember the name of it? Anyways, it's just nondescript house in the middle of the suburbs. You know, you understand the world of studios in this town. Yeah. And then I did part of it at Club Roar, which is next to Alex Grey, you know, and so Kevin Nolan produced it. There's a very long-winded way to say that the young, talented Kevin Nolan produced this record, and he did an amazing job, and we made a record that covers a few different styles, but is like, you know, a classic Tim Easton record in the fact that it's my voice unifying these songs that I wrote.
Acoustic guitar kind of front center?
Little bit of electric. There's some rock and roll on this thing as well.
Double guitars, second guitarist also?
Yeah, Kevin Nolan is a multi-instrumentalist.
Okay, great.
So he plays, you know, beautiful guitar. He also plays the keyboards, and he tracked live bouzouki on one song, acoustic piano on one song, some guitar things too.
Yeah.
But he let me kind of hold the fort down with the guitar, and then he did some overdubs of guitars as well.
With drums?
Oh, yeah, with his brother, Matt Nolan, playing drums.
Oh, yeah, right.
Yeah, we tracked it. You know, these days you can record a record and then sing it again if you want.
Right.
Sometimes I did, sometimes I didn't, you know. It was up to him, the producer. I basically just said yes to his ideas because I believe in him, you know, and he's a great dude, and he's a great producer, and I firmly believe he's going to be a major producer in this world that we're in.
Yeah.
He's that good, and he's that cool, and that talented.
Are you ready to launch your career in the audio or entertainment business? SAE Institute Nashville, right here in the heart of Music Row, offers hands-on programs to prepare you for the industry. From studio production and live sound to audio for film and a whole lot more. You'll learn by doing, working with professional-grade gear alongside experienced industry pros. If you're more into the business side of entertainment, SAE's Entertainment Business Program teaches essential basics like contracts and promotion to help you navigate the industry. With diploma, associate, or bachelor's degrees, there's a path for everyone. Plus, Career Services supports graduates as they take the next step. Want to see it for yourself? Immerse yourself in Nashville's exciting music scene and book a tour today at nashville.sae.edu or call 615-244-5848. So it sounds super fun. And did that translate into kind of a fast-paced record too because of the efficiency of work?
Oh yeah, there was 3 days in one place and 3 days in another. Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah, I still don't get to work the way the Beatles work, where it's like one song for a whole day and you just go to town.
I mean, I don't know where my thoughts are on that. I work really quickly when I record with my friends now, and I love it. But then sometimes I'm like, you know, it'd be nice to finish, you know, kind of finish the list of ideas for that song before moving on. Yeah, right. It's like, we'll get these overdubs. Let's get the basics while we're up. And I understand all these ways we do this, but for sure, he had me record iPhone recordings of the arrangement that I wanted, and those changed right up until the end. But the band had charts and things of the way I played it on the phone, and then on the floor as we were recording, sometimes we'd stretch it out a bit or pull it in a bit. And there were a couple happy accidents, of course. If you're lucky, that's what happens. But yeah, I wrote the songs and demoed them thoroughly before we made the album. So I'm still meticulous about that. I will demo something a couple of times. What is it? Oh, okay. So what does a thorough demo mean to you or feel like? What is it? What's the difference between a non-thorough demo and a thorough demo?
Interesting. Yeah.
For you, I mean, just for you.
Well, I'll demo something out really quickly without thinking, no editor in the room. And then a week later, be like, that bridge is a little wanky in this spot.
Right.
Or that's unnecessary. Or why don't we start singing this a little faster here without the intro? Basic stuff. So I'll demo it again.
Yeah.
I mean, you can just go in there, throw it in your computer and cut it out physically. Whether it's on the grid or not, you could just chip it out and say, actually, this is more,
remind us like what your kind of studio setup is for demoing and like what kind of tools you use.
Yes.
Do you get a little bit complex with it or very simple or what's your approach?
I'd like to say I get complex, but really I use my computer like a 4-track still, you know? So here's the big change for me. I switched from Pro Tools to Logic because
right on.
thanks. I'm glad because you tell some people they're like oh.
I think of Logic. Logic is like the ultimate songwriter tool. You know?
Exactly. Thank you.
It's just got all this stuff in it. There's
one button, and you're like, oh, that's a nice vocal sound. Thank you.
Right. Exactly.
You know, let's face it. In the cans, what motivates you? Your sound. You're like, oh, that feels good. I'm right in the pocket with this. I don't have like I'm so silly with it, but I'm at home with one good Mojave mic, I got a good mic, but I'll use that one mic for the whole drum set.
Yeah.
I'll plug a bass in and there's like a bunch of bass sounds I can get. I still will do silly things like play the tambourine while I'm singing a backing vocal or whatever at the same time, which drives any engineer up the wall. It's like it's not a 4-track anymore, dude. You can sing it and then play the tambourine again, but like I don't have time for that.
Right.
And this is just a demo, right? In my mind, I'm just making a demo, and I've made some pretty sweet demos, and I give that demo to my Patreon page, and I'll put a smidge up it, online or whatever. But I've moved over to Logic, and I still don't know how to use Logic all the way. I don't know how to loop anything on Logic.
Sometimes that's a benefit. Sometimes it keeps us honest and simple. You know what I mean?
Right. And you can just say, computer, you can go to YouTube and say, hey, how do I blah, 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 how do I do the Beatles flipperoo trick on this?
Yeah.
And some guy's on there showing you how to do it.
Well, one of the cool features of Logic that's new-ish, a couple of new ones. One is the stem separation. So that can become really handy at times where like let's say you put down a vocal and a guitar and then you want to change the chords underneath, or you don't want to hear that vocal anymore. You can actually remove it, even if it's just part of the songwriting process.
That's the modern technology of being able to isolate all the parts in a room with Peter Jackson and all that stuff. I say get creating, get writing,
right,
and don't get all hung up on the technology. Ye songwriters out there that listen to this, I know that the audience is more that there's tech involved, but creativity, man. If I could explain how to do it just like that, we wouldn't have need to talk anymore. But really, it's about learning, studying all the old stuff. Go way back, study the records from the 20s and 30s and
So who are your influences?
Well,
so if let's say we're a Tim Easton fan, we need to go study your teachers.
Or what I ask people is like, who do you put on? And I listen to vinyl at home. I just do. I'm lucky that way. I don't have a big crazy good setup, and I don't think vinyl sounds better than a CD. It's just because you could have that's what I have. And I ask people, what do you listen to when you're like doing the dishes or cleaning the house? Like, what do you put on? What records did your parents listen to? What's like your primary music source as a kid? And for me, if you go to my house right now, it's the same 7 records and I don't mean to be stuck in this thing, but I like country blues guys, often African-American men who are no longer with us, who have got them by themselves with a guitar or a pickup band that just got in the studio that day. When I'm talking about Lightning Hopkins, I'm talking about Mance Lipscomb, Mississippi John Hurt, country blues guys. Like I like one guy and a guitar just going to town, and he's recorded this song like 6 different albums.
Right.
But here's this version of it this day in Houston when he was like a little bit gassed, And I don't know why, but that's my relaxing place. What that says about me, I don't know. I do listen to new music in the car.
Yeah.
At home, it's the same. It seems to be the same guys over. If I get a new vinyl, I will listen to it. But I seem to return in a relaxing state to the country blues of Lightning Hopkins and family. And that's just me. I don't know what that says, but I say listen to everything.
To blues. I don't do it all the time, but when I do, I'm just like knocked out. Like rediscovering what's her first name? Cotton.
Elizabeth Cotton.
Elizabeth Cotton, yeah. And like it's like, oh shit, she wrote Freight Train.
Freight Train, yeah.
Which of course my uncle would always play, and I learned it. And then I'm like, oh, no wonder it's so hard to play. She played her guitar upside down. You know what I mean?
You found that out. Yeah, that's They weren't messing. I mean, also just the idea like there was an amp over here in the room and there's like 2 mics on the session and 1 mic's on the drummer or the bass player and the other one's on the guitar amp and it's bleeding, but it's like a few seconds away. So it makes it sound that we think, oh, that's bad. You can't have that now. You can hear the bleed. It's like, actually the bleed is the reality of the thickness of that stereo sound that we've tried to remove that we can now duplicate with a button on Logic. Yeah, don't get me started on the different things that you can do. I just record and, this is a really fun thing to talk about with great engineers. That mastering thing on Logic, which just says mastering.
I love it.
Like, I told a guy about this and, he was like, oh, don't that. And I'm like, I'm not putting out albums using that. I'm doing it with my demos.
If it sounds good, you will.
True. I have. Now that I think about it, there's some things that have made it onto. I'm such a workaholic that I have a side project called Dark Watson, and it's a pun on Doc Watson, and I paint these albums, and I mastered it at home on my parents' speakers. But what I'm saying is that if you're doing something for oh my God,
television?
No, the Patreon.
Tube?
Sorry, Patreon.
Oh, Patreon. Sorry,
Patreon. The thing that I do all the time. Yeah, just master it really quick on there, like. You can go down the rabbit hole with mastering, and you can, in this very town, you can pay $2,500 to get your album master, or you can pay $1,000, or you can bring it over to my house and I'll hit one button. Right. But I know there's a difference. I don't mean to make fun of mastering engineers. I love them and they help me make my records
tools.
great.
I mean, that's the thing. Logic's got a drummer tool. If you're not a drummer, you can use that. If there's got a mixing tool, if you're not
I don't trust myself to mix squat, man. Rock and roll just roasted my ears. So thank you, Easy Buttons for Grandpa.
Thank you, Easy Buttons. Love it, man. Yeah, those are the 2 things I was going to bring up, just that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I know you asked me if I made a new album, and I did, but it's like that album is already, I know it's not even out yet.
But you're already thinking about the next album.
I'm kind of like, I am. I don't know how else to survive.
That's the way I do it. I like... so I've got my music making friends, my band, call it what you will. It's a collective of people, different people for different sessions. But what I learned is that the thrill of the process for me is getting together and playing the music with them and doing the whole thing. So I'm like, it's not thrilling for me to go back and, put in 10x the amount of time trying to, tweak and finish that same record that we started. I'll do it if I know we've got a scheduled release date and now it's like a collaboration with the label and, everybody else on comments on it, then I'll do it. But otherwise, I'm just not going to get hung up on it anymore.
Yeah,
I'm just going to be excited about the next record.
Yeah, we get obsessed with something that no one gives a shit about. It's really odd. And it's when it's a vocal obsession, and I did this to Kevin Nolan. I was like, the way I end that phrase, I could do, and we got to dig something else out there. It's pretty easy, to fix. A vocal obsession, I'll take a little more seriously from somebody because that's the one that makes your gut twinge a bit.
It can,
like a bass and a kick drum not lining up, that's the Rolling Stones, okay?
Yeah.
Mostly they lined up, but every now and then they didn't, and it was cool. And, Keith hit a G chord, and Bill Wyman was playing a D or a C, which is in the same family, so it doesn't freaking matter. I get when some people get hung up about certain things vocally. Instrumentally, I'm like, you don't understand. You just made a moment that makes someone go, oh, what was that? That you made a moment in a stereo moment that makes someone go, that was different. And yeah, it might be an error in some way, but it's like, I don't know. We can fix everything. Starts to sound. It's sad that everything is so clean and perfect now.
Yeah, well, I mean, mistakes really are where some of the magic is too. So the vocal thing. To your point, the more I sing, and the more I press play in front of somebody else, boy, do you feel it when you press play for somebody else and you're sitting there, and you like that's a weird one to learn. Is to learn to just. Where do you even look in the room? Do you look at their face while they're listening? Do you look at the screen, the thing? You
drift off and you go, they're in a moment.
Smile.
You actually ask the powers of the universe to help them get through this moment. Because you're just working now. You're working with someone trying to help them make a thing.
Yeah.
I'm listening. Everybody out there that's listening to this podcast right now, go listen to David Bowie's Gene Genie.
Oh, yeah.
There's two moments in there. The very first chorus, the guitar player or the bass player, I forget, goes early and just totally fucks up. There's no way around it. They're in the middle of something, and one goes early. He's like, and Bowie goes, get back down. He like says, get back down. And it's an error. It's a huge, huge error. That song is ripping good. We all know it is. And there's one more later on in the song where someone's hesitant and waiting and doesn't know if we're going to go to the 4-chord yet. And it's so good.
Yeah.
Bowie says on the mic, and they kept, that's in there. He's like, get back down. He's like, the guitar player goes early. He's like, get back down. It's the first chorus. Gene, Gene. Like, you won't believe it when you hear it. You're like, wow, that's unbelievable. That was on the radio like that.
Get back down. It sounds like you're telling the genie to get back in the bottle.
Maybe get back down. Yeah.
Maybe they were thinking that.
I've actually said get back down a couple of times just because I think it's a really funny expression. Like, get back down there.
Get back down there. Get back down.
Yeah, listen to Gene Genie, and really, there's so many recordings we could do it. And I love my friends that are making records today, but for God's sakes.
Well, I mean, my sort of version of that would be hearing the Stones. I don't remember what the song was, but I think there was a double, voice double, or maybe it was from the original cassette demo or something.
Yeah.
And then when they doubled the vocal in a bridge or something like that, the double and the original bleed don't line up.
Yeah.
But it sounds fucking cool.
Yeah.
You know? And I started realizing, oh shit, you don't have to, it doesn't have to be perfect. All you got to do is just listen to it. If it sounds cool, then you're good. And if it sounds bad, then fix it. You know, if it's actually bad.
Yeah. It's the magic of a recording.
Yeah.
It happens still. It'll happen again. But people, I believe a lot of magic gets erased or replaced because they're concerned that was a mistake. And it's actually the passion of music. And we make mistakes because we're human. And you can't take all that away or else everything... We can't let AI win that way, you know? I know I'm grandpa...
We didn't need AI to start...
That's true. You're right. That's true. You know what? The
AI.
computer is damn powerful. And it's great. I'm grateful for it, even though I still use it like a 4-track. But like that came up in the songwriting workshop. Like, you know, and I asked them, I go, what is the opposite of artificial intelligence? And a lot of people say the funny answer was just like actual stupidity, you know? And it's like rock and roll, the primal early things of it, it's kind of a dumb. It's like, you know, the early Velvet Underground or the earliest things of Bo Diddley, like that stuff. It's real primal and silly and childish, and it's sexual, like, you know, energy or whatever it is, like it's primal stuff. And we have sure managed to, you know, complicate it. And that didn't start yesterday. You know, it was like started way back when in the 60s, of course. But like we managed to complicate it into a thing, and art, and we managed to complicate art, and the process of talking about it and selling it has just been so complicated that
some of us will spend 2 hours talking on a podcast about.
Yeah, it's okay.
Music,
yeah,
right?
It's fun. It's actually, you know, I'm grateful to be somewhere and just talk about it and be able to make it and have time to talk about it and not worry about burning myself out on it because we get to make it. And I in my mind, I had a million podcasts in my mind. You know, sometimes I'll talk to a friend on the phone about something serious, and I'll end the phone conversation and be like, "That was a good podcast." And I just hit send. You know, because you have a real.
I just hit upload.
Well, you have a real conversation with a songwriter on the road who just played a house concert where the owners were swingers or something, and you're like, Jesus H, dude. Like, you know, like the world of the folk singer out there on the road, and that did not happen to me. I only play upstanding house concerts, but like there's so much weirdness out there that I need a couple of guys to talk to help when I get bent out of shape over something that's not important.
Right, you guys must have your own text threads. Like everybody's just
there's that
touring the country doing house concerts.
Yeah, there's that, and then there's a whole other level where my friends are just recording themselves fart on their iPhone, but giving it a title, like a very fancy title. It started there somewhere, like, like they'll give it a very fancy title, like it's some serious demo, and you'll play it and it'll be like, okay, yeah. That's what's happening in the world. People are going so crazy because the world is so insane right now, and we don't understand how we got to this place where I don't sit around and talk about Donald Trump or whatever on podcasts very often, but things are so insane and different now that the reaction to it is complete absurdity, because it's so absurd.
Do we have examples of that in previous history in the art
of
scene?
Men recording their farts? Yeah.
Well, I mean, the Dadaism.
Yes, Dadaism is
a
great. I was going to say Dada is exactly the reaction to Mussolini and Franco that you would get. That's exactly right. You've hit it on the nose there, because they were just like, why would you bomb a village and kill the children and the women of this village? Like, what is your deal? Like, why? It's okay to say that this person is insane. I know even if you're on the same team, which technically, you are, or even if they're perceived enemy, it's just ridiculous. Right. Like, people are calling, something a different thing than it is. And so the reaction is turned into Dadaism, which is a great expression from, like, didn't he say it was Duchamp that said, what I make is just Dada. It's like what a baby does.
Oh, nice. I didn't know where it came from.
I think it's a French, like, let's make da, like a baby.
Yeah.
Surrealism is more dream-based, but yeah.
Hey, rock stars. Writing and recording your next great song just got a whole lot easier with Complete 15 from Native Instruments. This powerful toolkit gives you everything from deep sound design to instant musical ideas. Contact 8 introduces creative features like the new chords tool, letting you generate and customize compelling chord progressions without needing to know music theory, making it perfect for songwriting. And the phrases tool helps you find fresh melodic lines on the spot. With over 165 instruments and more than 150,000 sounds, Massive X, battery, and Guitar Rig 7 Pro, you've got everything you need to create in any genre. You can shape your ideas into real music fast. Whether you're sketching an idea or finishing a full production, Complete 15 keeps you in the creative flow from first note to final mix. Add your Complete Control keyboard or machine hardware to the mix for seamless integration and hands-on control. Go to nativeinstruments.com and use the code ROCK10 for 10% off. Well, it helps that everybody's out and about, so people can get, share and do stuff like that. I was pretty surprised during the COVID era. I was like, where's the rock and roll? Where's the creativity?
It's coming.
Where's the outrage, and stuff like that too. And I think people were being creative, and we all kind of went into our home studios in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
That was kind of
learned one or two more tricks.
Shortcuts. One or two more shortcuts.
It's now risen in a group of men and women that record their own gas and then title it something like Spanish Inquisition Part 2 or something.
Right,
something
so you're like, oh, what's that?
You're like, oh, yeah. Oh, God. And then you can see the waveform coming now. It's like, oh, I know what's coming. All right. Well, yeah, it's funny. And then
that one's got a drum beat behind it.
It's got... People manipulate it. That's what's happening. So if you want to join that revolution, it's easy. Just start it up with your friends. Just record your own toots. Slow them down, speed them up. Give them a title. Give them a fancy title. Give them a deep philosophical title, and send them to your friends and say, or just a little tune I've been working on, and see what happens. See if you can make your friend cry and laugh at the same time.
Is that like a hiccup and a fart? I mean, I know I didn't mean to bring farts up twice.
Yeah, that's fine. No, I did. I started early with the Halloween thing. I mean, that's what a full-grown man gets to do, And just talking about it recently, joking, now the freaking algorithm. That's what I mean. The algorithm sent me a picture of a kid dressed like a fart for Halloween. I was like, oh, I'm going to test this algorithm out. I'm going to start talking about other things and see what happens and more. Yeah, it's like, please no more old dudes doing crunches or doing Tai Chi. You know?
There it is. It's live. It'll be out a little later.
It's true. It'll
live.
say something. We could talk, maybe we'll get some Dadaism. Maybe we'll get some more artistic things brought up.
So on the other side of that equation, going back to the idea of like going into nature.
Yeah.
I'd love to talk about that a little bit more. So for me, I went down to Costa Rica this year and I spent a month down there and just wrote songs on the beach and learned how to surf and
enjoy your amazing life.
Yeah, I just enjoyed my amazing life. I ate, fresh mangoes from the market.
Yeah.
And I already had experienced a bit of this, but I knew that if I take my acoustic guitar into nature and I get away from, all this, I find like creativity starts to flow a little more easily for me, Granted, I might write about, pine cones and trees or palm trees or something like that. But writing, and I've learned that something about that good feeling of being near, reconnecting with nature just opens up some of the creativity, and it can be a great way to like come up with material, demo it, and then be like, it's like you capture just that moment, and it's like, okay, now I can re-enter the studio with intention. And it's like, now you're on sort of this mission to work and be focused.
Yeah, it was important.
It's like, it's almost like the studio is a place to allow the critic to have a voice or something like that,
I think I got in touch with you about doing another podcast with you because I saw that. I saw that you were doing that.
Oh, cool.
And I acknowledged that. And I'm a strong believer of reaching out to someone when they're doing something that's helping them and other people. Like, I should go to Costa Rica and do nothing on the beach. And I've lived my whole life like that.
Yeah.
I just do. I went down to Zipolite in Oaxaca, like way back when.
I can't even say those two words. Congratulations.
Yeah. Congratulacio. No, it's true. No puedo hablar español, puedo comunicar. I studied Spanish, so I love the bottom of Mexico is Oaxaca, and there's a beach called Zipolite, Place of the Dead, and it's just like the naked gay beach. Like nobody cares. Everybody's smoking weed or whatever they're doing. Nobody cares. There's a bunch of it's on the Euro path too, so there's like naked people from Europe as well.
Yeah, right.
And you don't have to be the naked part, but it's pretty funny. It's like you got that, and you got all this good food and hippies and healthy stuff.
You're just laying there strumming your guitar with your boner.
I'm not that guy, but thank you for being funny about it, because like you got to laugh at the ridiculousness of naked people on a beach. It's funny, and we Americans were uptight, and but anyways, it doesn't matter. But basically, you're going to a place where it doesn't matter.
Well, and the funny thing is, if you show up out of the swimsuit, you feel really awkward.
Yeah, and you can't. No one cares what you do. They just don't care there. And the Zipolite is the town, or the beach, and exactly. After I came out of that, I was like, what does it matter? Like, you get in touch with like, you're making something out of an experience that you didn't have before in your life. So I can't encourage that enough with anybody that happened to have gone this far, past the discussion of all the things we've discussed and the silliness, is to say like, go into credit card debt. Get out there. I mean, okay, that's a silly advice, but it's because I heard someone brat on the internet. They're like, hey, quit showing us your pictures of Europe. We know that you're in credit card debt. Stop it,
Right.
And it was like really funny, I thought, to say that. But like, go out there and get out of your norm, get out of the rut and go see the world. And if everybody could do that, I think we'd have a better shot at getting along with each other too, believe it or not. It's like when you go down there to Costa Rica, really good times. But after a couple of weeks, you're like, oh, I wish, you kind of like, there's certain things about home that you miss and you want. Mm-hmm. And then you have a new perspective of home, and you get to come in and try something different and try something from a different angle. And I applaud when you went and did that. And, Kai Welch, Kai Welch, the musician. Yeah. He goes down to, he's like, if I don't go down to Costa Rica and go surfing, I get sad. I'm like, oh, you poor baby.
Oh, that's funny. I haven't seen Kai in a long time.
Yeah, he likes to go surfing down there. And I think it is important to get out of your normal comfort zone and go try something different.
Yeah, and so what about that to you? I mean, so like there's the concept of like, let's say you have a cabin that's familiar to you and you always go there to write.
Right.
Versus deciding I'm going to go keep trying these totally new experiences that kind of trip me up a little bit even. Like trip you up in terms of you're not sure where your center and comfort zone is until you get there and you settle into it a little bit.
Right.
Do you find either of those versions for creativity and songwriting can be beneficial?
I would go in the camp of the new.
Right.
Because you and I both know what it's like to have an amazing space and still not be inspired by it.
Right.
I don't know someone should do a whole podcast on that. Like, why this beautiful room we're in right now? Like, soon you're going to get to a place where, like, I wish we could record with something. You're going to use your space. I have a lovely space in my house, all wooden interior, and like I'll just like tear everything down and set it up in the bathroom, in the living room, just to do something different.
Yeah.
So I don't know if I quite answered the question, but what I would say is just write every day, just create every day. Doesn't matter where you are, and don't let anything stop you. If anything, that image of Bob Dylan in the hotel room, everybody's having a raging party on the tour of England, and he's just like typing away.
He's just working on his lyrics.
Yeah, well, part of me thinks he's bragging because Penny Baker's there filming it, and he's like, "While all these freaks are doing this, I'm going to write a song because I'm fucking Bob Dylan, and I'll do whatever I want."
Camera's off, right? Give me that.
Yeah. The camera's off. It's like, where's God? Oh man, no. Bob Dylan showed what it was like to be a hyper creative at work. And he didn't wait. And I think there's a lot of great art like that, guided by voices too. They didn't. Yeah. They just go on their own cycle of making things. Don't let the industry or a podcast tell you when and how to be creative. I never understood that part of Nashville, which is very formulaic, and I've done it. But it's like, hey, we're gonna meet at 2:30 on Tuesday, and such is blah blah blah, and we're gonna write a song. It's like, are we? Because maybe at 1:30 on Tuesday, I had the wrong burrito, and it's not really going to work out.
The Wrong Burrito is another good title for our name of a restaurant, The Wrong Burrito.
The Wrong Burrito. And you can get the Wrong Burrito in Nashville, Tennessee. I found that out. We have a construction boom here. We have a large amount of Mexican Americans and migrant workers here helping us build all these buildings. And they've built if we leave this podcast, there's a chance that there might be a new Mexican restaurant in Madison or somewhere. You're like, oh, where did that one come from? And you're like, well, I got to try it out. And you're like, is this one here to really bring grandma's recipes, or is this one here to launder the cartel's money? I'm not sure. And that's not a statement against Mexican people. That's a statement of reality in America today. Like, I'm pro immigration. I am pro this country being big, but when you're in a town like Nashville, you get to see the reality of like, this restaurant, very good. This one, not at all.
Right.
What's going on? And I'm not pointing fingers.
Yeah, I don't know. I've got a couple of favorite Mexican restaurants in the neighborhood that I used to love to go to. I've switched how I'm eating, so now I I'll just go get guacamole if I'm getting something.
Yeah. I mean, I'll make my own food, but the reality of like, the place that's a supermarket, that's also a place where they can get phone cards and call home or send money
like
home.
La Hacienda?
Yeah, like amazing. La back in the day. Like real, like actual neighborhood support groups for a culture is really powerful. But then there's so many now that I'm like, okay, one or two of them have to be on the side, because it's like, this is the reality of our country. I'm not trying to pick sides here. The reality is that we do a lot of drugs and alcohol up here. And
true.
And the suppliers of those drugs are in different places, and they make the fentanyl problem, which is a really disturbing problem. And I've seen it up close.
Well, you're sort of on you're a little through your own experience and through your interaction with working it. Yeah. You're closer to the front lines of all that stuff.
I believe in working in SafePaw, the Southern Alliance for People and Animal Welfare. There's the homeless people that have animals and pets in my neighborhood. There's a woman named Lori Green. She deserves the Medal of Honor and deserves to be on the cover of Scene every year. And all those that work with the homeless, because I personally can't. It's hard for me to get in the trenches of the unhoused, because I freak out and I can't deal, and I've got germophobia or whatever it is. I'm afraid to, I'm afraid. That's a great short way to put it. I'm afraid.
Right.
But others can. So I try to help raise awareness for them by putting out songs. And I'm about to work up a Logic track that I might send someone else to master, or I might just hit that button, boosh, and there it is.
That button.
It's like mastering, boom, and then undo, okay, undo, and then play it. Okay, maybe a little less compression.
Where's the make better button?
Yeah, like
where's
a little less.
Does it actually have a suck knob now in Logic?
It's a little less of that.
And how far back does that joke go?
Wow,
that's a 30-year-old joke.
Yeah, and I think the Far Side. He pinned. I was the sound man in that situation when a guy like on stage of a punk rock band from whatever comes through, and you only got 3 mics up there anyways because it's Bernie's Bagels or the distillery on a Tuesday night, and you're like,
Bernie's Bagels.
And the guy's like, "Hey, sound guy," and you're like, "Did you really just okay? Where's the suck button?"
Yeah.
And it's like, I never did that, but I wanted to.
So you were running sound too,
not
as part, or it was like that came with the gig of doing the live.
Yeah, let's put
play
it
a show and then you
punk
go
rock
do it for
sound
someone else,
is. I did run sound for Guided by Voices once, but it's really more like Guided by Bud Light at that point. You're just really like, you got one mic. I ran sound in the kind of bars that we didn't mic everything.
Right. Yeah.
It was punk rock,
Yeah.
and I loved it.
Yeah.
I loved it, and but I would have the occasional drunkard come up to me and like, "You shouldn't be on this side of the board. What are you doing?"
Right.
And they would yell at me and berate me because they knew I was a songwriter and then I should be making music. And I was like, don't make fun of sound men, technicians.
Don't make fun of sound men or women.
Yeah, or sound
people.
Today, sound persons, I will give this advice until the day I drop from performing. When you go into a club, find out that sound person's name. Memorize it. Walk away. I don't care if you're bad with fucking names, okay? I get it. I am too. Walk away. Say their name 1,000 times if you have to. Wander around and go back up to them. And every time you address them about anything, say their name.
Nice.
And if they're having a rough day, it might be offer to buy them something like a piece of food or a drink.
A piece of food.
Can I get you a tasty morsel, Rick?
Rick, can I get you a part of a French fry?
Anything to make your life better. I mean, make their life better so that your life can be okay this Thursday night.
Right, when you're playing the gig there too.
Yeah, in Taos or whatever, I picked that town with that Albuquerque. Let's go with
Albuquerque. We're supposed to go left at Albuquerque anyway.
Yeah.
All right, so as we sort of close in on the finish line here, I wanted to hit you up with and just give me your thoughts on this. You've already given us one when you were talking about haikus. But I just wrote a question down, like give us 5 writing prompts.
Oh yeah, well the amount I talk, I was bound to cover every subject there is and a few more that we didn't think about. Writing prompts, I made up a bunch the other day. And it's like,
you
let's
just
get
make
real
them up
here.
right now if you want to.
I could improv on some writing prompts. I could hip hop freestyle some writing prompts. But what's going on in your life? If you need a prompt to pigeon you into the goal, like that's fine. Mm-hmm. Okay, you can get all the writing prompts you want. You can ask AI for your writing prompts. But the thing is like, what do you want to say?
But what if you don't know what you want to say? Well, I mean,
then you're not supposed to be writing a song. Then you don't know what you want to say. If you don't know what you want to do, If you call yourself a songwriter, and you need a writing prompt, get out there and go live life. Like I say, I say this to every group. I'm like, if this was a real writing workshop and I had the wherewithal and funds, we would get in a van, go to the airport, take a one-way ticket to Madrid. And then you'd have to hitchhike home, and by then, you'd be a songwriter. And then I said that to one, and then one guy goes, "Or a prostitute." And I was like, "That's funny. You're already a songwriter by adding that in."
Yeah.
So my prompt to you today is like, what are you afraid of? What's going on in your life? What are you fearful of? What is stopping you from creating? What is it? What are you afraid of? Are you a perfectionist that's afraid what you are going to make is not good enough? Are you think you have to wait for someone's permission to create something? You don't have to wait for someone's permission to make an album, make a film, write a book. Mm-hmm. All these things are out there. You can write a book and check in with blurb.com and they'll print it for you, you know. And
I met a guy on the road this summer who was just traveling in a cool looking van with his, well, I think it was with his wife or his girlfriend. Yeah. I think they were married, but I just went up and was like, hey, I just got to say hi. It was just a rest area up in Massachusetts. Yeah. And I was like, got to say hi. This van looks cool, man. You look like an interesting character. And so we started chatting, and then he's like, you know, telling me about his life story. And he tells me that he wrote a book. Yeah. What was the title of it? It's Doug and Something's Travels.
Okay.
I'm still reading it.
Right.
But sure enough, I just went online and ordered it. I was like, great. It's just this little book about him and his van traveling. They're the two characters. But you're right. I mean, you can write a book.
You can do anything. If you wake up, if you're like thinking, I want to be a songwriter, and you show up and you're like blank page in it, then do something else right then. Go do a physical thing. Go for that walk in the woods. Go watch one of the 100 greatest films of all time. Start reading, for God's sakes. Like, no one wants to read. Some people do.
Right.
But nobody wants to read. But I'm telling you, the more words that come in, the easier they are to spit out.
Yeah, write things down. When you read stuff and you like it, take little notes, jot stuff down.
There's that, or use your phone for the tool it is. You know, like there's a tool on there that you can record everything, or you can just write. Because how many times is someone listening to this, or any creative person you ever knew, was laying in bed and they're like, "That's funny. That's a good line. I'll remember that tomorrow." And they don't.
No.
You need to keep one journal by the bed, the dream journal. In the morning, we're all just full of all kinds of stuff's going off.
When you're waking up and stuff.
Yeah, before the world's news cycle gets jammed in your brain, or before you start streaming fart stuff, whatever the world of fart that's waiting for you out there. Before that starts, get something down. Give yourself a goal and be disciplined.
Are you recording your own music or other people's music in your studio, but you're having trouble figuring out how to get your mixes to sound great? Do they sound weak and distant or lack punch and clarity? Well, I've got a gift for you to help you take your mixes from sounding like basement demos to sounding a lot more like professional mixes. And it's my free course called Mix Master Bundle. This course will show you how to get pro-sounding mixes from your home studio with free and stock plugins in Pro Tools. And the best part is, these mixing techniques will work for you in any DAW, whether you're in Logic, Cubase, PreSonus Studio One, Reaper, or anything you can think of. Are you ready to make your best record ever? Then go to mixmasterbundle.com to get started for free now, and you can find the clickable link in the show notes of this episode. It's tricky, though, because what I've learned about myself is I could wake up with the lyrics to a song and everything in my head, but the moment I even open my eyes and try and activate the phone, it's already like erasing it as fast as it can go.
Yeah, that's just human.
I don't know
nature.
I almost want to get like a little handheld cassette thing, something that takes no effort,
Yeah, because you could go to turn your phone on and there's 4 texts and you're like fucked right there. You're just done. So
or you have to log into
check
the
this
screen
out.
Or whatever.
My advice on that is to just sit there a little longer before you pick up the thing. Just work it out.
Yeah,
just stay there with it.
Just until it's committed
to memory
to memory first.
And if the technology, if anything, should be a pencil and a notebook. Don't pick up the phone. That's the easiest way to retain that thing that's really fleeting. And we all of us have it, not just creative people. Everybody has that, but we erase it. Think about how many gazillions and billions of dreams happen every night,
right,
and every day. And 24 hours a day in this world,
and they're all pure gold.
And they all vanish. They're gone. Where they just vanished. It happens all the time. It just, for me, and I write shit down, and I still lose probably the majority of it because.
But to your point though, which is really good, is just a reminder that if we can stay in our head, we can work it out. We can start to work out what the thing is, and in the same way that you can commit the name of the sound guy to memory, you can commit a little bit of a verse worth of phrases or a chorus line.
That's why I said don't pick up the phone.
Yeah,
don't pick up the technology thing that gets in the way. That would be my advice. If you wake up and you're just blank page in it and you need a prompt, I almost want to say just go for a walk.
Well, so and that's valuable, and I appreciate that. But still, there is the element of writing exercises, like
Yes.
word exercises.
Yeah, there's tons of them.
So I just wondered if you had any that popped into your mind. Like, for example, when I was in Costa Rica, I got some 14-day, songwriting prompts thing.
Yeah.
It was like, oh, they were just so simple. Anybody could have made them up. But like one that I tried was like, okay, I'm just going to write down nouns and verbs for an experience somewhere, like at the beach or the coffee shop.
Yeah.
And then it's like, okay, now swap the nouns and the verbs. And now you get these weird like juxtapositions and metaphors. And it was a fun way to just start writing a song,
Word generator is great. You just basically like, what are all the words that I think of when I think of a snake? Okay, what are all the words I think of when I think of a carpenter?
Right.
And then you jam those together.
Just make a little list.
Yeah, Tweedy has that in his book, a similar exercise.
How to write a song in a day.
It's how to write one song.
Right. Oh,
It's a brilliant title.
Right.
Yeah.
I've done anything about it today. Sorry.
There's songwriter groups that are like, write a song every day in February. And I'm like, I can't.
Right.
Because I don't want to impose too
Jeff's books, I read both of his books recently, that one and then just the history of Wilco and Tupelo, and both were fucking great.
Yeah,
great
creative,
books.
super creative, and a father, and kind of a hero to the I don't want to say working class songwriter, but the
Us
everyday
Midwesterners.
Yeah, maybe I do feel I wrote a thing about them on my Substack page. I have a Substack too because I'm overachiever. But I wrote a letter from Midwestern cousin about his last triple album. Let's face it, the triple album, like deep down. I've always wanted to make the White Album or something, like a double album, or like.
You guys think they started? You think they started that record with writing prompts?
No, yeah. He works. He works a lot. He when you're on it and you're able to do it, your free time is your life. You get up and you just start working. So you assemble a lot of work together. But we've all of us. Not just Midwesterners, but creatives are like have the double album in mind. Like we all, want to do that. And Wilco did that a long time ago with Being There, right? But the triple album is the funnier one, or like All Things Must Pass by George Harrison, which just something big because when you say you have a bunch of songs building up. Imagine being George Harrison with those other two songwriters in the band. He's just like, by the time the Beatles break up, he's got a triple album of stuff.
Right, right.
They put All Things Must Pass out. It's just this massive dumping of like everything he's had.
Yeah.
And I love that. And I love the idea of making a triple album today. I don't think the world has enough patience to sit down and listen to it in one swoop. I did. I gave it a shot. But that's because I'm lucky I have the time to do it. So my advice to any songwriter that is still listening is really just get the physical life involved. If your mental life is empty and depleted and you got nothing, you might be in a biorhythmic low at that point. Maybe you didn't eat, you had too much coffee, whatever it is, go for a walk, get the physical body stimulated so that the mind then will be nudged by something. I'm not saying you're going to write a song about your neighbor's dog, but what if I told you, like, write a song about your neighbor's dog. Write a song about that person that pissed you off when you were in high school. Write a song about a bully. Write a song about an easier one is a more heartbreaking one is like, write a song about the most common theme there is, that time you had your heart broken. Has anybody ever really addressed that? If you want prompts, I'll throw them at you all day. But really, we're trying to excavate our souls, and you're gonna have to write. You're gonna have to face some deep and dark stuff. You can't always just use the prompts from the internet.
Damn prompts.
Yeah, the prompts are just keeping you from looking at what's going on, and it's like, your jealousy over artists that are doing better or seem to be more committed to what they're doing.
Yeah.
It's like, poof, it could go on forever, but like just make something today, and then
it's okay to write a song about feeling like a loser.
Yeah, there's a couple out there.
Beck, right?
Yeah, Beck. It worked for John Lennon too. I'm a loser. He started it. I've lost someone who's dear to me. I just, that connection is great. That's the self-pity,
right?
That every human being has. and everyone thinks they don't have it. Like, well, I'm fine. I'm doing fine. I got a job. I mean, everything's kick-ass. It's like riddled with self-pity.
I'm feeling self-pity right now.
I just really need to go to the bathroom. No, I mean, no, self-pity is just like, it's one of those things that luckily, if you're from childhood, if you were emotionally supported, that you're not going to be riddled with it. But most of us are riddled with self-pity. We just are. So what do we do with it? We get angry at somebody. We get jealous. We point fingers. And that's just the sad, I'm guilty of it. I'm part of that too. I can do that. That's just the sad repercussion of a world that we live in, where our reaction and frustration and darkness comes from a place of feeling not adequate ourselves. I mean, not everybody grew up with just everything fluffy and nice. And even then, that can lead to a huge downfall later when you face the real world.
Like, does anybody really grow up with like perfect? Like, I don't think you can't avoid the life experience. You know what I mean?
I'd like to wrap with telling a story about something really funny that happened. I promised my daughter I wouldn't talk about her, but you don't
get this far in the episode. Anyway.
That's true. Yeah, way gone. Nobody won't even start. Basically, I went through a divorce. It's not ideal. I mean, it's very common, but it's not ideal. The broken family, there's issues, and it can trigger something from childhood.
Yeah.
But we learned really early, like, we're going to go to couples therapy, and we're going to learn to not be a-holes in front of each other, in front of our daughter, to each other. And yes, we're mad at each other right now, but you know what? We made a mistake. We're going to fix this, and we have a human being here. And now I'm really close with my ex-wife, and I'm really close with her husband, and we're all a big family, and it's really nice. The other day, I got a teenager though, and her mom sensed something in her that was a little off or whatever, and she was like, "Are you all right? Everything okay?" This is the problem of having ultra hippie parents that have gone to therapy or whatever. And then later we're on our own. I'm like, you're good? And she's like, I'm great. Like that. And I was like, well, I know you're great, but are you good? And I was kind of joking, but the look she gave me right there was like, stop asking your kid how they're doing every freaking few minutes right now and this one day, right? And I got in the car, and as I was getting in the car, I rolled down the window, and she went into the house, and I heard her scream at the top of her lungs, like, ah!
That's good. She's expressing.
And then I waited a few minutes, and I called her up. I go, just checking in. I heard a loud scream as I was going down the driveway. Was that you? And she's like, it might have been.
That's great.
I was like, way to express yourself. I apologize for getting in your grill and asking you how you were feeling too much.
Right. I mean, I think any parent, I mean, I would ask my kids stuff, and I'd get a response that was like,
so does anybody grow up fluffy?
And, sometimes it's not. Yeah, exactly.
Way to let it out. Way to scream it out. Sometimes the scream, Chuck Prophet just posted a painting of the Scream, the painting, and they put it in the dark every couple of days or whatever, or part of the day.
Oh, and that's what they have to do, the original painting?
The original painting, because it gets too much light.
Yeah.
And I wrote him back, I go, sometimes the Scream needs a day off, but sometimes you got to scream. So by all means, I hope anybody out there listening has someone to scream with or talk to about anything they're going through.
Have you gig booked that line? I hope even the Scream sometimes the Scream needs a day off.
No, I haven't.
I'll memorize it for you so I can give it right back to you.
Take it. Run with it. Anybody out there, there's your song prompt. Sometimes the Scream needs a day off.
Yeah.
There you go.
That's awesome. Well, dude, how awesome to have you back on the show, man. This is a blast.
Thank you, man.
I feel like we could do a bunch of these because we did not run out of shit to talk about. But let me ask you this closing question, which I've asked you previously on the show, and I'll ask it again. It's hypothetical. We get to take the Wayback Studio machine. Mm-hmm. You go back. Maybe you're just kicking along the streets. Maybe this time, you've got a little money in your pocket and you're just waltzing down the streets of Europe, and you see this young scruffy kid who's busking on the side, and you say, oh, look, there you are, young Tim. Mm-hmm. I've come back to give you this one bit of advice. Here's the single most important thing that you need to know to be a rock star of the studio yourself one day. What advice would you want to go back and give yourself if you could?
First of all, I give money to the first street musician I see in every town I go in all the time.
The first
street musician.
Street musician. Yeah.
It's like a thing I do.
Yeah.
I hope if they're good. If it's like just your basic oompa thing that's like he's always there, maybe not, but I try to. If I will stop and talk to a street musician. Oh yeah. And if they have a dog, especially, like I'm obsessed with that. Like homeless people with dogs or street musicians with dogs. I would say to me, ease off on the sauce. I was like, what's more important? You know, the doors of perception or some ridiculous notion you have of psychedelics or whatever, or writing a good song, or being present and being a good human being in all your relationships. That'd be one thing I would get into. And the other thing would be to further study the heroes of your heroes.
Right.
Like let's really learn some of these Leonard Cohen songs, John Hiatt songs, Lucinda Williams songs.
Speaking of you mentioned the dogs and she comes.
Yeah. And so, hello. And I think that a further deep study into things, even though today I might listen to the same country bluesman over and over again, I think it's worthwhile to really study music outside your normal comfort zone. I'm getting a little bit weary of me asking when I start my songwriting workshops and I say, tell me your favorite songwriter. I'm getting a little bit weary of guys saying like Dave Grohl or something. I'm sorry.
Right.
But it's like, okay, did you can we back up just a little bit and like listen to what Dave, the first Foo Fighter album is Dave Grohl recording everything himself, kind of Beatle. Is a Beatle, it got a Beatle vibe from it. And it's fine. I want my younger generations to like back up a little bit in time, even, I guess if you would have asked me at that time, I would have said, I'm lucky, I would have said some older stuff because I immediately, when I heard the Beatles and the Stones and I heard them talking about Chuck Berry, I went back and listened to this.
Yeah, you were playing Chuck Berry for your parents.
Yeah, I never did, but I listened to these master lyricists. When I heard Billy Joel, let's say in the 80s or something, I was like, wow, he's playing like he's Tchaikovsky, is this Mozart? Like I studied classical music because I was like, why is this, what's different here? And so I was already on the tip of doing that. My brothers got me doing that.
Oh, that's good. You had older brothers who kind of give you a little bit
they're
of
like,
musical
the world's
influence.
not all about Cyndi Lauper and Prince right now, whatever's going on in the 80s, Men at Work on the radio,
right.
Which they're all amazing bands, really. I was lucky. I think the 80s is full of amazing stuff.
I'm on the Mexican radio.
Wow. I ended up on a label with him. Yeah. That's, why am I spacing out on his name?
Oh, I don't even remember. I can't remember.
Hit a time code. I'm just kidding. Oh my God, he was on New West Records for a while.
You just keep going, and I'll pull it up. I'll pull it up when we go.
Amazing dude from LA, and I love that song because I know what it's like when I was a street musician with Beck back in those days.
Wall of Voodoo,
right? Wall of Voodoo. When Beck handed me a cassette and it was like Loser, and then years later I'm driving across, actually a year later I'm driving across Arizona and I hear it crackling across the radio. I'm like, my friend's song is on the radio, and then what happened.
Yeah.
But
and it was Moreland, I think, was the songwriter on that one. Is it?
No.
It says
No. He as a solo guy.
Ridgway and Moreland.
Stan Ridgway.
Stan
Ridgway went to he was on New West for a while when I was there in LA, and yes, thank you. Wall of Voodoo. What a great
it's a great name for a band, too.
It's a great name for a band. So is Timbuk 3, if you want to go from other bands from that era. Yeah, man. Write songs. Keep writing songs. If you write one that you believe is not any good and you will never sing it again, don't be so hard on yourself. Just the next day, try again.
Yeah.
Yeah. You gotta write a few clunkers.
Indeed, man. Yeah, I always like to think of we have to let the bad songs out so they can get out of the way of the good songs coming.
Yeah. And by the way, a bad song can always have a good idea in it that you save and yield for another thing. I think just like get on it. Don't just do podcasts and talk about it.
I'm damn straight, man. Damn straight. And on that note, I'll let you go so that you can go write another hit.
And you go, oh yeah. Well, I've written a lot of misses.
Easy does it, Dave.
Easy on the cameras,
she's like
buddy.
Body checking the cameras.
She's like, she knows the podcast's over. It's like, time to wrap it up, boys.
Daisy.
She's like, my attention span is much shorter than human beings, and I'm ready to rock it. You have fun down in Costa Rica, sir. Go down there, and everybody here, just go on a journey somewhere. Go somewhere. Go to Alaska. Go hang out. Go to some different place.
I'll have to check out Alaska sometime.
Yeah.
I'm guessing the summer months are a good time to go to Alaska.
Yes. Yeah.
As opposed to the dead of winter. Although that might be pretty fascinating too.
Why not bring a small podcast rig up there and just ask some and talk to some musicians up there?
I just want to bring a guitar.
Or that.
I want to just go play.
Never mind. Yeah. No, go just do that.
But maybe I'll do both. Well, dude, thanks for hanging with us. How can the rock stars come find you online? What if they want to check out your stuff?
Oh, yeah. I'm easy to get a hold
of.
Pretty easy to get a hold of.
Questions?
I think I'm pretty easy to get a hold of. You can go to timeaston.com and send an email. There's no person back at a warehouse that's answering that email. It's me. And maybe my daughter will do that someday if I pay her. But right now, Instagram, Facebook, all the stuff, I'm there. I'm easy to get a hold of, and I appreciate your support. I appreciate you writing me a note about a song or about a thing I said, or just saying hi.
Carburetors or jackpots, man.
There you go. Carburetors or jackpots. I still get a lot of comments on that one. And I write artists whenever I wrote an artist that I saw whose art I saw in the airport the other day when I was all pissed off. Mm-hmm. I was like, your art helps me get out of my mind, change my path. And I believe in writing artists and letting them know how you feel about their work and how it's inspired you, or what is similar, or what they touched off in you. That's the opposite of artificial intelligence.
Right.
Connection.
Yeah, big time.
It's like, oh, you made this thing. I feel that way. This is my take on it. That is the dream right there. A real connection. That's the hit.
Yeah.
That's the hit song. It's like someone experienced the same thing and they able to express that to you. I love it.
Yeah, it's awesome. And just like the giving forward too. It's just like the more we give, the more we receive too.
Nice. You know what this has turned into?
What's it turned
into? A Mallorcan goodbye.
Oh, what is it? Where we never end?
Yeah, Mallorcans, they say goodbye in this small island off the coast of Spain. It's Spain. Catalan people, they say goodbye inside, then at the doorway, then on the way to the car, then the next thing you know, they're at the car, and then like they're driving away and spins back. It's like, they just keep going. So they never say goodbye, as opposed to the Irish goodbye, which is like this.
There you go. That's a good way to end the podcast right there. Rockstars, thank you so much for watching and listening. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, hit that like button so this video can reach more people like yourself who are going to really enjoy this.
I'm only part Irish.
And also make sure to subscribe so that you can get more of these super fun interviews with other songwriters like Tim. We got more coming up. And if you've got comments or questions, drop them in. I'd like to know, what do you use to start writing a song, Rockstars? You're watching this. Do you use a writing prompt? Do you start from, you go on a walk first? Do you find a feeling? Any of those things? Do you get in touch with yourself, And thank you. And Tim, thanks for hanging, dude.
Thank you.
Well, good to see you. We'll see you next time, dude. Cheers.
Peace.
Thanks so much for listening to Recording Studio Rockstars. If you enjoyed the show and want to help make it better, then please share this episode with your friends on social media and leave a rating and review on iTunes to help the podcast reach more rock stars like yourself. You can click directly over to iTunes or go to rsrockstars.com/review for an easy explanation. And remember to hit the subscribe button to keep up with weekly episodes. And if you're ready to make your best record ever now, then head over to Recording Studio Rockstars Academy, where you can start with my free course at mixmasterbundle.com. Thanks so much for listening, and thanks for being a rock star. I'm Lid Shaw, and this is Recording Studio Rockstars. Now, go make great music. Recording Studio Rockstars would like to give a big thank you to our fantastic sponsors who make this episode possible. Isotope, Native Instruments, SAE Institute, Spectra 1964, Grace Design, and Picker. Check out the Spectra 1964 website for factory direct budget-saving prices on the STX 600, 100, 100D, and BBDI DirectBox. Check out my studio profile on the Picker app on iPhone or Android, and remember to take advantage of our special coupon code ROCK10 for 10% off any plugin purchase at isotope.com or nativeinstruments.com. And don't forget, you can start mixing right now with my free course at mixmasterbundle.com. If you enjoyed Recording Studio Rockstars, please check out our sponsors using the links in the show notes below. These are all things I highly recommend for your studio. They're going to help you make your best record ever. Please like and subscribe to our YouTube channel as well, because it's a great way to help support this show. And I'd also like to thank our fantastic team here at Recording Studio Rockstars, Vlad Weselchenko and Daria Tupesis. Thanks so much for watching and listening, and we'll see you in the next episode. Cheers.